It's okay, we've just jumped the order, no worries at all.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. I rise to contribute to this debate. On March the 16th, I made a speech in this place here, Mr Acting Deputy President, in a Senate statement saying this tribunal order is wrong. It is very, very damaging to owner drivers. Some 35,000 of them will face huge financial burdens, loss of income, even bankruptcy. When this bill came in 2012, I wasn't over critical of it because I was told by many that, look, this is about Coles and Woolworths paying a fair rate to small business and truckies, and of course I always support small business. And so I wasn't over hard on it, but I did say to members of the Transport Workers Union, you stuck that tribunal with union thugs and we'll rip it apart one day, and that's exactly what has happened. Jennifer Acton, on a huge salary of some $400,000 a year plus to run this tribunal, to be president of it, you're $400,000 plus. And the sheer arrogance, what has happened, I spoke to Senator Sterle at the back of the chamber and I said, this order that comes in on April 4th, it must be delayed. People don't understand it, they don't know the ramifications, people are going to go broke, people are going to lose their jobs, probably lose their houses because their houses are mortgaged to buy their rigs. Well, we put an application in, thanks to Senator Cash, AIG, Nat Roads, Australian Livestock and Rural Transport Association, etc., to have this delayed. Pardon me. Even a Transport Workers Union, Mr Acting Deputy President, even a Transport Workers Union put an application in, a submission on this draft order to delay it till January 1 next year, to have it delayed till October this year. Even the TWU did it. And what happened was the tribunal's arrogance said, no, it starts on April the 4th. They wouldn't even listen to the Transport Workers Union, let alone the self-owner drivers.
Senator Williams, I'd ask you to resume your seat. Senator Singh, interruptions are disorderly. You know that too well. Senator Williams, continue.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. I appreciate that. And so, as I said that day on March 16th in this place, this order is going to send people broke. It's not about the rate they get for carting their main load. And I gave the example of livestock transport. When they cart their main load, they charge, pardon me, it might be $4.50 a kilometre for a 4-deck sheep crate, load of about 400 sheep. They run home empty, so the one-way fee they charge, the rate they charge covers them to come home empty. So if they get a backload, that's a bonus. That is a bonus. I gave the example, if you're going to bring home a few rams, pardon me, 10 or 20 rams, and go 500 kilometres, you have to charge about $800 to bring 10 or 20 rams back on a backload. You know, just 1 pen on the bottom deck. What would happen then is the grazier who ordered the rams to be delivered at home would get a bill of about $800. That grazier would then go to stock and station agent and say, what are you doing charging me $800? There'd be a hell of a blue as a result of that. And the agent would say, well, this is actually this new order brought forward by the Road Safety Remuneration Tribunal that's brought this on. That truckie would never then get another job with that person or that stock and station agent. And so it was simply unrealistic. And it even got worse. If you took 2 part loads, you had to charge the full rate for each part load. It was the backloads the problem. We've got many, many examples where one truckie, for example, Senator Lazarus, carts from Adelaide to Brisbane, gets a good rate. Then loads up and goes from Brisbane right through to Perth, gets a good rate, but charged just $2,500 to go from Perth back to Adelaide, and was happy with that. But the order said he had to be paid $6,500 for a part load to go from Perth back to Adelaide, so he lost his job. He had to run back empty. He didn't get anything. He'd be out of business. Here is the problem. This was supposed to be all about safety. Well, I can guarantee you that the owner drivers are good, safe drivers. As I said to them yesterday, when they're going down a hill, they have the Jacobs brake on, the engine brake. They go back through the gearbox. They use the engine to slow down. So their brakes are cool and they're there for an emergency. They're not riding their brakes and wearing them out because the owner driver has to replace them. If you drive for a big company and you wear the brakes out, the company has to replace them. It's in their interest to look after and maintain their rigs to simply save costs. Now, when this bill came in, Of course, it was a hung parliament in another place. It was supported by the then member for New England, Mr Tony Windsor, who just let it go through, along with independent member Mr Andrew Wilkie, Greens member Mr Adam Bant, and even the member for Kennedy, Mr Bob Catter. Let me talk about him. Mr Catter, a big supporter of the Road Safety Remuneration Tribunal. He was paired. He wasn't there present to vote. He often doesn't vote. But Mr Catter supported the introduction of the Road Safety Remuneration Tribunal. Even recently, Mr Catter remained a staunch supporter of the RSRT. On the 26th of March 2015, Mr Catter held a joint press conference with the Secretary of the Transport Workers Union, Mr Tony Sheldon. Mr Catter, in March 2015, has signed on to the Transport Workers Union's campaign to maintain the Road Safety Remuneration Tribunal. I wonder if you ever thought that it would be sending people broke. Now, just recently, I signed a letter with Senator Stirl to send to this tribunal because we saw truckies that were renewing their contracts and they were going to get paid in 90 and 120 days. They were happy with the rate, but they wouldn't get paid for 3 months. They had to pay their wages in 7 days, their fuel bill in a month, their lease payments on their trucks and trailers in a month, their tyre bills, their maintenance bills, their spare parts bills, their service bills in a month. But they wouldn't be paid for 3 months. We actually wrote to the tribunal and said, why don't you make an order that all transport contractors be paid at a maximum time of 30 days? That would have been a good order, just like the order they brought out where they said owner-drivers must be paid within 30 days. It's not the rate, it's paying them on time. That's the big issue. So their cash flow, they're happy with their cash flow, they're happy with their rate, they just want to be paid on time, which is only fair. Life is about fairness. But of course we never heard from the tribunal. So back to when we went to try to delay this order, it was supported by the Transport Workers Union through to October, supported by everyone, and the arrogance of the tribunal said no, it'll start on April 4th. So Nat Rhodes went to the federal court in Brisbane on a Saturday, April 2nd from memory, and had it delayed. Then of course along came the Transport Workers Union into the court next week and had that injunction removed. So they didn't want to delay it at all, they wanted to bring it straight in. I wish they were out here talking to the truckies. Senator Lazarus with us over the last couple of days in Tamworth Saturday when we had a big gathering there with the Minister for Agriculture, Barnaby Joyce, and others there. Those people are really hurting. And the point is, we all want people to be paid fairly, whether just an employee or whether a contract truckie or whatever. Life's about fairness, as I say. But this order meant that they couldn't get a backload. It was destroying them. They just weren't getting the jobs. And some of these big companies who have contracts might say their contract was $2,000 to bring a load back from Brisbane to Melbourne. And they might have to pay more under this order. They were actually contracting in long term and losing money when they paid the owner-driver, so they weren't going to use the owner-driver. They would use their own drivers in their companies because the order does not apply to them. This is a crazy situation, and thank goodness that people like Matt Munro, and I really appreciate Matt Munro, he does a magnificent job for the Australian Livestock and Rural Transport Association, who briefed me on this way back in more than a month ago, hence my speech then. And Bill McKinley from the ATA, Nat Rhodes and those people who really put in to see that this bill does get thrown out, this bill gets through and the whole tribunal is thrown out, because it is simply hurting up to 35,000 small Aussie battlers, people in business who may mortgage their houses, and if they don't get back to work, they will lose their houses. They'll have their rigs repossessed. It flows right on through the communities. Go out to any country town, big or small, and there is your livestock and grain producer, carrier, I should say, not producer. And where does that carrier buy their fuel? Off the local fuel agent. The tyres, same thing. Spare parts, service, same thing. And even if you're in the game of selling new trucks, Mr Acting Deputy President, and I know a dealership down your way, Mr Acting Deputy President, in the last 2 weeks has had 14 new prime movers either cancelled or put on hold. $4.5 million worth of sales of new trucks cancelled or put on hold because of this order. What is that doing for the people employed in that business? I'm not going to name them, I just respect them for giving me the information from South Australia. And so that's why this order simply has to go. These people, these owner-drivers, they work very hard. On the weekends they're there greasing their rigs, looking after them, servicing them, seeing their tyres are right, the tyre pressures are right, the brakes are adjusted on the trailer brakes. I've done it all myself for many years. And it was good to actually get behind the wheel of a truck this morning, join the group and show my support along with many of my colleagues, especially Minister Cash, who I think has done a magnificent job handling this issue. And I express my gratitude to the crossbenchers for their open-mindedness on this issue. They can see how wrong and how bad this order is and what it is doing to small business.